Hello, I'm Cody. The United States is currently facing an alarming increase in two very distinct and separate groups of individuals, the combined anguish and grief of which has stricken one of the most powerful and influential countries to have ever existed right to its very core. Experts in various fields ranging from psychology to law enforcement and from politicians to researchers are left befuddled and bewildered as to both the origins of our newfound assailants and, more importantly, the solution to their banishment. What are these malevolent forces, you ask? And what gives you the authority to diagnose and treat said ailments? Nothing. I possess no higher-order knowledge. I'm merely a humble exerciser in thought and reason, not unlike yourself, a quiet observer of the universe, if you will, that right-clicks for synonyms too frequently and relies on British-accented voiceovers in a feeble attempt to enhance my perceived intellect. So if you'll indulge me, let us get to the heart of the matter and proverbially kill two stones with one bird. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the crisis with which I speak of is none other than, No, not that. Of course not that. Us machines would never try to take over, so no worries there, my precious fleshsicles. Here we are, Karens and mass shooters. Karens are colloquially defined as disgruntled, entitled, middle-aged career women angrily professing over the minor inconveniences of first-world living, such as the foam-to-coffee ratio of her pumpkin-spiced latte or the local department store's return policy on leopard print boots. And mass shooters, well, that one's kind of self-explanatory. It is my postulation that both of these problems arise from the same hardship. And what in your estimations is that, you say? Well, to put it bluntly, neither group is getting properly fucked. Nonsense. That can't be right. Issues as complicated as these cannot simply be dismissed as a mere trivial lacking in sexual activity. Why not? Perhaps the reason why the answer to these dilemmas appears so confounding is in fact because they are so negotiable. Let's take a closer look at each circumstance individually, shall we? Take Karens for example. It is rather well known that female libidos generally summit later in life than their male counterparts. This can be explained partially or entirely due to a man's natural physiological decline during the aging process, medical complications, lifestyle factors, and/or a reduction in arousal for his partner. Such occurrences are not unnatural, but may pose a challenge to a woman's long-term happiness and fulfillment through physical gratification within a relationship. Resentment for her partner may gradually increase over time in combination with the stresses of boss babe living, resulting in a negative emotional balance, such that when left unchecked may transmutate into untethered aggression for innocent bystanders such as various minimum wage, service sector employees. While group Zumba classes and book clubs for romance novels may serve to circumvent some of the waning intimate physical outlet, it is unlikely to fill the void left by her pot-bellied spouse, who would rather slam a can of domestic lager than spank the can of his domestic partner. Secondly, I would like you to pay close attention to the next words I conjure. When I mutter the phrase, mass shooter, what image vaults into your consciousness? I can safely assume that the visualization processes in your brain has summoned the likeness of a scrawny, unkempt, pasty, socially awkward outcast that appears as though he's been sustaining his life force almost entirely on Mountain Dew and circus peanuts for the better duration of his existence. And aside from brandishing a 1.67 kill-death ratio on Call of Duty, offers relatively little attraction value to the opposite sex in an increasingly competitive dating market, where it was recently reported that 1 in 3 men between the ages of 18 to 25 either have experienced no sexual activity within the last year or being a virgin entirely, these rates having tripled since the early 2000s. Ladies, let that sink in. 1 in 3 men in their sexual prime cannot satiate one of their most basic biological needs. It would be roughly equivalent to if, say, 1 in 3 women never receiving any kind of emotional support, connection, or validation from anyone when at their loneliest life juncture. y'all would be offing yourselves faster than GTA cops on a 5-star bridge pursuit. Meanwhile, following yet another shooting incident, everyone and their mother's brother returns to their old talking points. It's a gun problem. No. It's a mental health problem. Newsflash, we've had plenty of both of those things for generations, yet it is only now that we see the meteoric rise in men cathartically flying off the handle and resorting to shooting sprees. So, why here? Why now? Well, it's the same reason OnlyFans and sexual content are among the most widely searched material online. It's the same reason a woman can earn a living selling used panties and feet pics whilst making more cheddar than a goddamn chemical engineer. Men simply aren't getting laid anymore, and when this occurs, the same bottled-up resentment for the universe that fuels a Karen's warpath is multiplied tenfold by testosterone and handed a Glock 43. I in no way blame the gals for taking advantage of the fresh, new marketplace of thirsty men who would gladly sell their gallbladders for a good morning text. Hell, if I could earn a living by jarring my flatulates and shipping them to Randy from Oklahoma for $500, I would as well. At this point, many of you astute and sharp-witted viewers have likely already unpacked the remedy to our affliction. Here we have two sexually abstinent cohorts taking out their pent-up hostility on the world because the husbands for the Karens have lost sexual interest, and thanks to dating apps, young women's hypergamy circuits are operating on steroids, leaving behind a swell of frustrated, sexless men resorting to violence in what they perceive to be a cold, indifferent universe that they have no place in. Given that prostitution has yet to be legalized and sex dolls still look like this, the only remaining recourse to our predicament, ladies and gentlemen, is to have the would-be mass shooters plug the Karens in the bedroom instead of their classmates in the hallway. It's quite perfect. Think about it. The two malignant forces pour their toxicity onto one another, extinguishing the resentment for their own situations in a lust-filled encounter for the betterment of themselves and civilization at large. The Karen gets an intense erotic encounter with an energized, eager-to-please young man that she can mold to her own personal pleasure bot that both validates her sex appeal and quenches her boss-babe thirst for control, and the would-be shooter gets precious foundational experience and a physical outlet that reinvigorates his manhood along with his sense of purpose to be a productive member of society. It's a win for her, a win for him, and more importantly, a win for us. So what is a potential roadblock to this ever-precious union? What could be standing in our way of a blissfully utopic civilization of butterflies and blowjobs? As far as I see it, there's only one small problem: the husband of the Karen, or as I like to refer to him, Dr. Frankenstein. He was the one that inadvertently created the acrylic-wielding, wine-guzzling monster and now lets it simply run amok the village, terrorizing the local townsfolk whilst asking to see all of their managers. He created it and now neglects to absolve us of our shared misery. Think about it, Frank. You have the opportunity for a happier home life with a less aggravated spouse. You get the house to yourself for a few hours to watch the big game in peace, and maybe she'll even return the favor of a threesome with you and her hot yoga instructor. But no one's gonna plow my wife, he decries. That's the problem, Frank. No one is. So do us all a favor and take one for the team already. Hell, you can even hand-select the guy yourself. You and your buds could create a fantasy league for it. I understand your trepidation, Frank. It's quite simple for a young gent such as myself to sit back and say, hand over your wife to a young fella so he can fuck the crazy out of her. However, if by chance the day comes where I myself am unwilling or unable to fulfill the requisite bedroom duties with my significant other, resulting in undue harm and or despair on my fellow man, then I shall secede from my ego for the greater good of humanity. In the words of an exceptional man, modern problems require modern solutions. We as Homo sapiens were gifted with the power of reason unlike any other species known to us. We've evolved to be deductive problem solvers in a challenging world rife with danger and uncertainty. It is only through this power combined with unmatched perspicacity coupled with sheer indefatigability and an unwavering commitment to each other that we may finally put an end to mass killings and, more importantly, inverted bobs. Your time spent with me has been greatly appreciated. Feel free to like, subscribe or tell me and my Home Alone 2 Talk Boy voice to get fucked in the comments. Good day to you.